Up next on the Young Escape podcast.
I have a question real quick, and, you were talking about co-writing, right? And, I just know more of like a suggestion, or just like I'm just putting it out there,
Okay, good. Yeah.
Obviously, you guys know I'm an aspiring rapper. I'm trying to get my foot in the door a little bit, you know what I mean? And I was, if you guys ever need Jason, I don't know if you're into rap music at all, but if you ever need any hip hop feature or rapper on anything, I'm always
send me a
game.
demo, man. I want to hear it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You do. So
I can give you
absolutely. You could be just what my music needs right now.
That's true. You want me to give you a quick demo right now?
You could be the disorder to my order. Yeah. Come on, let's hear it.
Okay. I'll do a little bit of my intro rap. Is that, you think I should do that, kind of?
Just
okay.
make it quick.
So look, Chaz the rapper here. Not talking too loud, cause you know when I am near. Don't worry, I don't bite. Although if you go too close, I most definitely might.
Wow.
Boom.
Wow, that was
pretty juicy, eh?
Yeah.
And I like. I mean, like, it's tough too,
Right, I don't mess around,
tough.
man.
Like, you could bite somebody.
Yeah, I grew up in the hood of Antarctica.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, it's very street. Very street. Especially the way you use the words most definitely might.
Most definitely.
Welcome. Greetings from the future.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Young Escape podcast. So make some noise for your host, Chaz Michaels.
Welcome back to the Young Escape podcast, everybody. I am your host, Chaz, and today we had a very special guest on, Mr. Jason Gray. Jason Gray is a fantastic songwriter, and today we talked with him about how he got his start in the music career. And Jason also talked a lot about songwriting and his process and how he works. And you guys know I am an aspiring rapper, so it was very helpful for me, and I'm sure it's gonna be very helpful for you. So make sure you stick around for that one. But first, a quick thanks to our sponsors, Nike, Adidas, Google, Gatorade, and Oreos. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast and doing what you do. Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Alrighty, McKenna, you ready to go?
I'm ready to go, Chaz.
We have a very special guest, don't we, today, McKenna?
We do.
It's a very special guest. How about you go ahead and introduce who we have today, McKenna?
Yes, so on today's episode of the Young Escape podcast, we have joining us our friend, Jason Gray. And Jason is an amazing singer-songwriter known for the compassionate honesty and authenticity that he brings through his music. And Jason is really one of the greatest writers in our industry, and I've always been super in awe of that. And he's had a bunch of #1 radio hits all the way to ASCAP Performance Awards and all of that. So basically what we're trying to say is Jason's amazing.
Right.
Jason, how you feeling tonight?
I'm doing good. And so, McKenna, I know I'm speaking with you. Who else am I speaking with?
So you're speaking with Chaz, who you haven't met.
I can introduce myself.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
I can introduce myself. Okay, you don't have to
go
introduce
for
me.
it. Go for it.
Hello, Jason. My name is Chaz. I am the host here of the TYE the TYE podcast, and I've heard a lot about you from my buddy Luke. Of course, I talk to Luke all the time. But if you don't mind, a little bit about me. I'll tell you a little bit about me, if that's all right.
I was hoping.
All right, awesome. Yeah, so I'm from Antarctica. Grew up with penguins and polar bears, I'm a aspiring rapper. I met the Young Escape through, do you know the video game Club Penguin?
No, but
Well, it's a very fantastic game, but I met them through a Club Penguin convention in Dubai,
Wow.
And so that's how I met them, some of my hobbies, huge Taylor Swift fan,
That's your hobby.
Yeah. Listen to a lot of Taylor Swift.
Oh, okay.
It sounds more like a lifestyle than a hobby, but that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Part of my lifestyle, Taylor Swift, talking to Luke all the time, just a little bit about me, but
You done?
Do you want me
the
to
way you're
done?
speaking, I'm aware, Do you need like allergy meds or some tea
no.
or something?
No. I'm perfectly
You doing
fine.
all right?
Yeah, I'm from Antarctica, so that explains the accent.
Okay,
you know?
okay, sure.
I
Okay,
thought,
cool,
Jason, it was one of those things for me too. Like when I first met him, I was like, what is this? And then it's one of those things where as you get to know him, you just kind of don't really notice it anymore. So
Right, yeah, you did seem a little put off by me
yeah,
at the
it was.
convention.
It was just
but-
different, you know? And yeah. But Jason, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're so glad to have you. And just to hop right into it, we met on tour this past fall, and we had the greatest time ever with you. And I remember being so impacted by like the conversations we would have on the bus and backstage every night on tour, and the way that you poured into us was something that we were just so grateful for. And honestly, I don't think we've ever been on the road with anyone more willing to truly take the time to pour into us. So thank you for that. But we got to hop into the first question. So
Okay,
this is
Yeah,
definitely
hurry it up,
from,
McKenna.
you got to tell us, what was your first honest impression of The Young Escape, us as a band? Do you have any funny moments that you remember from this past fall tour that we did together, or maybe some tour prank moments?
Oh.
Yeah. Well, my first impression, and maybe we should explain to those tuning in that I do have a speech handicap.
Yeah.
I'm a stutterer, so that's going to happen, and I just wouldn't want people to think that maybe it was because Chaz was making me nervous or anything like that.
No. It's
just,
all good.
Jason,
Yeah.
even if Chaz does make you nervous, that's okay, because
I'm a little nervous.
he makes me nervous.
Well, he makes me a little nervous.
I'm a little nervous.
A bit of nervous.
I feel like
That's
I'm
true.
talking to a legend. You know, I'm a little nervous myself.
Oh, thanks. My first impression of you guys when I got on the bus was first of all, there's just a good spirit on the bus. The moment I walked in, I thought, these are great people. And then as we were hanging out, I thought about how, I thought about if I'm putting together a band, what am I going to do? I'm going to, what things am I looking for? I'm looking for, can the people play their instrument? That's great if they can, but can they play it well? Do they play it in the style I'm looking for? Do they have stage presence? Do they have the stage presence that is compatible with my own, stage presence? And then are they driven enough to be on the road, because it's very demanding. So there are lots of considerations. And so if I'm looking to put together a band, I'm going to audition a lot of people and to see if the chemistry works and if everything is lining up, Right. And when I met you guys, I thought you didn't get to audition for band members that way.
Exactly.
Doing it the way that you do means that you're kind of stuck with whoever is, there,
Whoever
right?
you were born with.
Right, exactly. And so either your band, I thought, was either the product of, we're just going to make this work as best we can, and it's just going to be what it is, or some kind of miracle happened and against all odds, everything lined up. And after being on the road with you guys, I'm calling miracle. I think you're all great at what you do, and it all works together so great, and I'm a big fan.
Wow.
And I also thought all of you were a great hang, genuinely kind, generous, curious people, and fun, but no BS. Like, am I allowed to say BS in your podcast? I'm not sure,
You can absolutely.
Okay, cool. And I loved your dad. I love that your dad was out with us.
He's great, right?
Normally, you'd think, oh, here comes the band. They're coming out on the road. Oh, and they're bringing their dad, But your dad was like so cool. He was so great. He was like one of the best parts of the whole tour.
He's the best.
Just your whole family is so great. And I also got to meet your mom eventually, and just everything about. I'm just a fan of the whole package, you know. So it was great. And then you guys were also you were fun to play with, you know.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the tour, of course, we had a great night of pranks and stuff. So, but they felt like the right. Okay, so, like pranks can get a little out of hand on a tour and become disrespectful and not considering the audience's experience, you know, and all that kind of stuff, you know.
I know how that goes.
Yeah, right. But even like in all the pranking stuff, it seemed clear that you care about the audience's experience, you know, and stuff. So it's great. So our pranking was fun, but
it was.
The prank that happened to you guys after I left the tour actually was one of the most epic pranks I think I've ever heard of, where the drummer for the other band came out during your set and just laid down on the floor face first in front of you guys, right?
Yes.
For how long?
It was for the whole first song, and it's so funny that you mentioned that because we just had him on our last podcast.
Oh yeah,
and he was talking about it, and no, it was so funny. I just remember that night we were all talking about. We're like, I wish Jason was here to witness that moment. No,
yeah, it was great.
No, but thank you so much, Jason. That's so kind of you. Like, especially coming from you, that just means the world. We loved hanging with you. And Chaz, like speaking of like tour dads, like remember when you brought your dad out on tour?
Right.
Do you remember that?
I think
people don't really like your dad very much.
Yeah, he's a little aggressive.
He's
a little aggressive.
Yeah.
That
just,
Why did you bring that up?
It just made me think about it.
I'm glad those guys weren't on the tour with us then.
Yeah.
He's not.
Would have brought the hang down for sure.
Yeah.
He's not the brightest. I mean, you know.
Yeah,
but he's my dad, you know.
That's true.
You gotta love him. You gotta love him, right?
That's true. That's right.
That's very true. No, Chaz has played some very awkward, weird tour pranks on people too, so I don't think that would have been the greatest thing for us.
Right.
Maybe we should explain our tour prank, but I have a hard time. Like you almost had to be there, but
True.
there was a baptismal.
There was
at the back of the sanctuary, behind the band that was playing Citizen Way.
Yep.
Up and behind, and but if you went down this back hallway, you could get access to it, and there were also choir robes back there.
Really?
So
that made
we
it.
put choir robes on, and we were able to creep down into the baptistry, so that people didn't see us until we rose up out of the baptistry and did interpretive dance.
And the lights came on at the perfect time.
And the lights came on. That's right. Yeah.
It was brilliant. We'll have to link a video to that.
I think I heard about. I think Luke told me a little bit about that.
Oh, did he really?
That's amazing. I wish I could have been there.
Yeah, you should have been there, Chaz. You should have been.
It felt very integrated as a part of the show, right? Like it enhanced.
It did.
The set,
I feel like we should have done it every night on tour because it just
made the songs better.
It did. Yeah. It just brought a whole nother experience to the show. But Jason, for our listeners out there, like, could you tell them, like, how did you first fall in love with writing songs, and when did you decide that you wanted to become an artist? I know that's a big question, and you've probably been asked that a million times, but
no, I love talking about this. So thanks for asking.
Yeah.
I guess I fell in love with songs first, and then eventually I was so in love with songs that I wanted to have a deeper relationship with them, you know?
Yeah.
And the way to have a deeper relationship with these magical things that we call songs is to become a songwriter, you know?
Right.
So I started singing songs when I was walking home from school. I'd make things up. I actually still remember like a line from one of my first songs I was working on. Yeah. Do you want to hear it?
I want to hear it.
Okay. Sorry. Excuse the language, but I don't remember all of it, but I remember a line in it was, "She was hell in high heels."
There you go.
And what I think is interesting in that, though, is you can hear that, that a songwriter's sensibility was there because of all the alliteration, all the H's and L's, hell and high heels, And so all my early songs were about girls and and preteen angst and all that kind of stuff. I didn't grow up in the church. I grew up on the road with my mom's bar band.
Wow. Okay.
And what that would look like is we would hop in this old converted school bus and drive all around, and then arrive at the bar, and they'd haul in all the gear.
Wow.
And then my mom would stick me on a stool at the bar like I was 5 years old when all this began.
Oh, wow.
And she'd stick me at a stool at the bar so she could keep an eye on me while she was working, and she'd sing like Heart and the Doobie Brothers and the Eagles and all that kind of music. And I remember as a little kid, I hated all the smoke in the bar, because there was all kinds of smoke.
Yeah.
I hated the smoke, complained about that all the time, but I did have a bottomless glass of root beer and my Star Wars action figures, so it was a pretty good life, right?
Oh, man.
And all the truck drivers who were hanging out at the bar, I think they loved having a little boy there, so they'd hang out and talk Star Wars with me and teach me how to play pool.
Yeah.
So it was a great way to grow up.
That's amazing.
But I didn't grow up in the church. But I did grow up around a lot of music, and so I suppose it's not all that surprising that the first time I recognized God speaking to me was through a song by my favorite group, Simon and Garfunkel. They have a song called Bridge Over Troubled Water. And that was a time in my life where my parents were going through an ugly divorce. And we were living at my grandparents' house, and my grandpa was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I didn't have my own room. I was sleeping on the couch, and there was a lot of chaos. And but through all of that, God still knew how to speak to me and speak a language that I could understand. And I remember hearing the song Bridge Over Troubled Water, and the lyric is when you're weary, when you're feeling small, when tears are in your eyes, I will dry them all. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down for you,
Wow.
And what I think is so remarkable about that is, when I heard that, something in my heart went, hey, I want you to know that this is how I feel about you. And years later, I would come to understand that was God speaking to me.
Oh, wow.
And, but I don't think I could have made that up, because nobody was talking to me about God. I wasn't in the church.
Yeah.
There wasn't anybody who suggested that I might interpret song lyrics spiritually. So I think that was a genuine encounter with the Holy Spirit.
Wow.
And ever since then, I still experience music as one of the primary ways that the Holy Spirit speaks to me, So I always wanted to be a part of that, that holy mystery,
Yeah.
And those are the songs that I resonate with the most, So.
Oh, well, Jason, you're giving me a throwback to like the amazing tour conversations that we would have. I remember just being I love hearing about this stuff, but you got to tell us too. Tell us about Order, Disorder, Reorder and that project, and where our listeners can best follow along. Cause I know you've been releasing singles, and it's been like this crazy cool project that you've been, revealing.
Yes. I've been working on a project called Order, Disorder, Reorder, which is the language that I use to describe how God leads us through transformation. It's how we become new, right?
Yeah.
And order is when, we things are going the way we want them to, and what we expect to happen is happening, what we know about the world is enough, and it's working for that time. And then all of a sudden, we'll move into a time where it's not working anymore, and the world falls apart, and things are not the way that you thought they were.
Yeah.
You need more information. At the beginning of reorder, so order is great. We spend a lot of time trying to create order in our lives, and that's exactly what we should be doing. That's a good thing. The only problem with order is that we can love it too much, and it can become an idol, and we can become really protective over our order. Like, okay, now this is the way I think the world works, and don't tell me any differently, right? And I'm going to protect it. And, and that can be a problem, because then we don't learn anything new. But don't worry, guys, because chaos is always lurking around the corner, right? And things happen, maybe like a health scare or a breakup or a job loss, or something painful happens in our life, whatever it is. Things break down and remind us that we were not as in control as we thought we were, and our answers were not as sufficient as we thought we were, that they were. And it's painful and confusing, but maybe it's confusing enough that it will cause us to run to Jesus in a way that we haven't for a while.
Wow, yeah.
And maybe it's painful enough that it breaks our heart open enough for some new wisdom to get in there, right? Yeah. And that's reorder, and then we have wisdom that we didn't have before, and then that becomes the new order, right?
Yes.
And then the whole process starts again. So
wow, I love that.
Yeah. I'm releasing the project in 3 parts over the next year.
Yeah.
And part 1, Order, released last September.
Yes.
And Disorder just released the week that it was announced that we're in a pandemic.
Wow, that's crazy.
in early March, so that was weird.
That was probably really crazy.
I was glad that the whole world was generous enough to cooperate with me for my promotional campaign for my record Disorder. Very thoughtful of everybody. So, and then Reorder is going to be out in August.
Well, we can't wait. It's all been beautiful. And for our listeners, make sure you follow Jason Gray on Instagram and on Spotify so that you can be hearing all of this great stuff that we're hearing. And
I want to give a quick quote real quick.
Yeah,
that
go for it. Go for it, Chad.
Inspiring,
Yeah, go.
It's a quote by, you've heard this a couple of times, but it's a quote by one of my favorite artists ever.
Let me guess. Taylor Swift?
Taylor Swift, that's right.
Yeah.
And it goes, what's a step up from beautiful? It's gorgeous. That's what it's gorgeous, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What? Oh, I missed the quote. What did he say?
Oh, that's it right there. Because that's always been like a...
What's a step up from beautiful?
What's a step up from beautiful?
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
So why does that...
That's right.
That always just brings me back, That always brings me to full circle moment.
Mm.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good moment.
So just everything that Jason was just saying just inspired that.
Right, yeah.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous.
Cool.
That's what I'm going for. See, everything you said was gorgeous.
Oh.
No one's told me that before, so thank you.
I'm glad it was the first.
That's awesome.
Me too. Thank you, Chaz.
That was a beautiful moment, Chaz. Yeah, a gorgeous one.
Yes. Good work.
Hey, Jason. Speaking of young people, so Chaz he was born in 1996, and so
that's not necessarily true.
You've said that before. So, but to all of our
he's
young,
so mysterious. He's being so mysterious right now. It makes me want to know more.
Wow. Okay, I thought I've heard you say that before.
Oh,
1996.
You have, but I've also said other dates.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Wow, man. Wow. Well,
Building the mystery.
Chaz is an aspiring rapper under the name Chaz the Rapper.
Yes.
And so, he's been going for that while running the biggest podcast in the world. But
on the planet, yeah.
We have a lot of young listeners out there as well, in addition to little Chaz over here. But what is a piece of advice you'd give to young creatives who want to pursue being an artist and they don't really know where to start. And I know you're so good at giving this advice because you gave it to me so much on tour. So,
Well, thank you. Let me see. What do I want to say about that? I want to say, when I was young, I really believed in myself. So much so that I couldn't see that I wasn't actually very good. I thought I was really awesome, but I was not very good at all. But that's really useful. That's really, really useful. You need a little bit of blind arrogance in order to do this, you know?
yeah.
And so that can be a real gift, that can be useful. But being teachable is really helpful too.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember I thought my songs were so deep and so great. They were so next level, you know. And a person I respected told me that they didn't think my songs were very good at all, you know. And it really hurt because I really respected this person. I thought we were on the same page, and you know. And then when they said that, it was a big blow.
Yeah.
But I'm so thankful to them. I'm so grateful that she told me that, and I respected her. So it really hurt, you know. But I'm so glad because, you know, when you introduced me at the beginning of this, you named me as one of the best songwriters in our industry. Thank you for that. And if I have a reputation, it's of being a decent songwriter, you know, and to the degree that I'm a good songwriter, it's because that person told me I wasn't.
Wow.
And it hurt me enough that I got real committed to the craft of songwriting. Like I didn't want to feel that again, right? I didn't want to feel ashamed about my songs again. And so I just strove to become great at my craft, you know, and so that kind of hurt and criticism is so useful, you know.
Yeah.
Very early on, if anyone criticized a line in one of my songs, I'd get really defensive, and I'd be like, they just don't understand my art. They don't get it, you know.
Right.
But learning to not be defensive and to consider other people's critiques is so helpful. It takes a long time to learn how to not be defensive, right?
It does. It does. I still do it here and there. So
yeah,
I'm still learning.
I do too. But if you start early on by looking for people who will lovingly be truthful with you about the weak spots they see in your art, that can be really helpful. And it does take a long time. Offensive, so start working on that early, and then it helps you in other areas of your life too, like in your relationships and you know, all that kind of stuff.
No, that's so true.
But then also, I'd say be humble enough to write bad songs, you know, because you need to write about 10 to 20 not so very, very good songs before you get to the one that's really, really great, you know?
I write a lot of bad songs, yeah.
I believe that. I believe that about you, Chaz.
Do you?
I have a few. They're pretty bad.
But and I don't think there's a way to skip that process. I think you just have to just own it and write mediocre songs. That's the only way to get to the really great ones, you know.
That's so true.
And then another thing that's been helpful to me too is, like, if you're a writer, if you're like me at all, when I start to write, it's not long before before the critic in me kind of rises up and joins the conversation and starts bad talking the line I just wrote, you know. And the inner critic is really important, vital. That demanding voice is what will help us to write better songs, you know. But I've had to learn to not bring the critic in too soon. He tries to break in like all the time, and say, no, you're staying at the door, because I'm going to let the creator part of me create first, and just let that creator just create before I bring the critic in. And then after I've created a thing, then when I bring in the critic, then he actually has something to work with and something to critique. So this afternoon, I was co-writing with this new artist, and this was a time where I feel like I did that well. We actually wrote the whole song before I allowed my inner critic to come in,
Yeah.
But it was all done, and now the critic has something to work with and some clarity about exactly what can be fixed.
Yeah.
If I brought him in too soon, he kind of would have shut down the party before it began.
Right.
So learning how to bring that in at the right time.
No,
so,
that's so great. That's great. I feel like we do that. We do that as a band a lot too. It's hard as a band because you have four critics coming in. And,
gosh, I know.
Yeah,
it's tough.
So we've been working on
that's
that
a lot
too.
to navigate.
You listen to
is.
Luke most of the time, right?
No.
No?
No.
You probably should.
No.
I feel weird. I feel weird right now.
I mean, what do you think, Jason? Would you listen to Luke?
Did I make it awkward? I'm sorry.
I'm just gonna be Switzerland here.
Yeah.
Be neutral. Yeah, but
okay.
the other thing that really helped me was this idea of going all in, and my word would be put all your effort into one thing and see what happens.
Yeah.
And one of the ways that I did that is and I wouldn't recommend this for everyone, or maybe I would, but I'm kind of afraid to recommend it because I don't want to mess up anybody's life, but I'll just say for me, I had such a strong sense that there's a quote I love by Frederick Buechner.
Yeah.
He says, "The place that you are called to is the place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger intersect."
Wow.
The place that you are called to is where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger intersect. So it's that thing that you love to do and that the world needs you to do it,
Wow.
And very early on, I had a sense that I think music is that place for me.
Wow.
And I was about to start college, and I decided that if I spent time creating a safety net for myself, a backup plan, that I would take the backup plan when things got hard,
Right, yeah.
And so I thought, what if I don't make a backup plan? Then I have to figure this out. Then now maybe that's not for everybody, but that was helpful for me, and it worked out for me. So now my son, he did an interesting thing. He went to Belmont.
Okay.
And wanted to do music, and he's amazing at what he does. He's a producer and a songwriter, and he's just killing it right now. But he went to music school, and the way that he did things, he wanted to go to the school so he could get in the culture of other musicians.
Yeah.
And make those connections and learn things. But then, but he graduated with a business degree.
Wow. Okay.
And the business degree, though, it didn't interfere at all with his creative ambitions. So he was able to create a backup plan that also didn't distract him from the thing that he was really there for.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was, I thought, very admirable.
Wow.
On his part. So I think there are ways to do it, So yeah.
No, that's amazing. That's so cool.
That's fantastic.
Chaz, you should go to Belmont.
I should,
Yeah,
maybe.
man.
I
All the
have
cool kids are doing it.
I mean, I have a question real quick, and
Okay, let's hear it.
you were talking about co-writing, right? And,
Yeah.
I just know more of like a suggestion, or just like I'm just putting it out
Okay.
there,
Okay, good. Yeah.
Obviously, you guys know I'm an aspiring rapper. I'm trying to get my foot in the door a little bit, you know what I mean? And I was, if you guys ever need Jason, I don't know if you're into rap music at all, but if you ever need any hip hop feature or
Rap
rapper
feature.
on anything, I'm always
Send me a
game.
demo, man. I want to hear it. I
Oh
wanna
yeah,
hear
for
what you
sure.
do. So,
I can give you
absolutely.
I can
You
give
could
you
be
a
just what
demo
my
right-
music needs right now.
That's true. You want me to give you a quick demo right now?
You could be the disorder to my order. Yeah. Come on, let's hear it.
Okay. I'll do a little bit of my intro rap. Is that, you think I should do that, kind of?
Just
okay.
make it quick.
Alright, so look, Chaz the rapper here. Not talking too loud, cause you know when I am near. Don't worry, I don't bite. Although if you go too close, I most definitely might.
Wow.
Boom.
Wow, that was
Pretty juicy, eh?
Yeah.
yeah, and I like. I mean, like, it's tough too.
Right, I don't
You
mess
sound
around,
tough.
man.
Like, you could bite somebody.
Yeah, I grew up in
So-
the hood of Antarctica. I'll be telling you.
Yeah.
Wow.
I feel that. Yeah, it's very street, very
Yes.
very street. Especially the way you use the words most definitely.
Oh,
Yeah.
most definitely, yeah.
Most definitely. You've been
Sound very-
saying that for a long time, Chaz.
Oh yes,
Very
many
urban.
years, yeah. Yeah, but again, if you guys need YouTube kind of
Well, yeah.
any rap features,
Yeah, you-
I'm game.
We will keep you in mind, Chaz.
Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, you guys, thank you so much. Jason, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast today. We seriously,
Yeah.
Yes.
we adore you and we love you. Our family loves you. And we're just so grateful that you took the time to come chat with us today.
Very
And
great answers, right?
Very great
Can we
answers.
give him a round of applause?
We
McKenna?
should, yeah.
Mr. Jason Gray, everybody.
Mr. Jason Gray.
Get the whole
Thank
studio
you.
clapping.
Thank you very much.
The whole
Thank you.
studio's clapping.
The whole studio. No, Jason, we're praying for you during this time.
Hey, man.
Yeah, just
you.
with everything, it's crazy out there. But yeah, guys, link in the description to follow Jason Gray on his Spotify and find him on Instagram. And yeah, you gotta pay attention to what he's releasing because it's really amazing and really, it's just crazy authentic. And I've been so inspired by it for the longest time now. And so, Jason, thank you so very much. And Chaz, do
Thank
you
you.
have anything else? Closing remarks?
I would just say, go right back to that Taylor Swift quote.
Oh,
Just always look back to that quote.
okay.
Gorgeous.
Yeah,
Gorgeous.
You've quoted that in every single.
Yeah, I know. I think I'm
Podcast.
doing a little too much, right? Doing a little too much.
Maybe just
No.
Maybe a
Never.
little bit. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast. Jason, thank you so much for coming on. And we will see you guys on the next one, right, McKenna?
Right.
All right.
Peace.
Peace out.